So yesterday we talked about the newest update from Modern Warfare, update 1.13, and as the time of recording that, right after the update went out, by all accounts it seemed to be okay at first glance. It seemed to present some fixes for some big bugs in the game, and as well offer us a new weapon in that of the crossbow. I made that video with the objective facts and figures available at that time right after the update went out, but after making the video, stepping away from my desk and then seeing it all unfold on Twitter and all, that first forward-facing glance was basically some of the only positives about the update. So first thing, my apologies that the issue that we covered later on in the video in passing of the data corruption, I apologize that that wasn't a discussion topic right up front. If it was a common issue that turned up when I first sat behind this mic around 2 p.m. Eastern yesterday, it without a doubt would have been the first thing that we talked about. And today, that's actually a big chunk of what I want to discuss with you. That among other issues that are still persisting that you may also notice. So let's break this down. Let me know your thoughts below. If you're new to the channel, maybe considering that subscribe button, but anyways, let's get into it. Let's firstly talk about that data corruption bug. I saw this once or twice upon finishing my recording and editing of yesterday's video, but later in that evening, it turned out to be not just an issue that was seen sparingly, but more so a widespread problem. That problem being when you first booted up the game after downloading and installing update 1.13, that you'd get to that main menu selection screen, that you'd be able to press X, you'd be able to press A, you'd be able to press any key on PC to enter into the main menu. It would come up with a prompt that told you had an error right there saying your data is corrupt and did not download properly. You must reset your rank and unlocks to continue, with the option for an action of either yes or no to proceed. Now, obviously, I think it's pretty apparent that no one should have pressed yes. I'm sure that there are people that did, but the outcome of that seems pretty straightforward enough. But it's honestly one of those things that's kind of a panic situation that you don't really want to press anything and you're like, well, what if I press no? Is that still going to do something? And you'd more so just rather go back 10 seconds in time to when you didn't even know that existed and it was a possibility that all your stats would be wiped. And honestly, that's kind of the entire fix that was suggested, air quote fix that's been suggested even from Infinity Ward. That was the best option. Just don't do anything, close the application. And I think the workaround was that you just had to close the application, restart it until it didn't give you that prompt. But this was something that came out, again, in increasing number after the update came out as of yesterday, to which Infinity Ward made a sequence of tweets mentioning that they're aware of this, firstly saying, we're currently investigating an issue where players are getting an error prompt informing them their data is corrupt or did not download properly. Please do not select either option, but please hard close your application. Thank you for your patience while we work on this issue. They later followed up quote tweeting that saying, we're still looking into this issue and appreciate your patience. If you are presented with this prompt, please do not select any option and hard close your application. We'll provide another update when we have more information. Thank you again for your patience. They finally, about 7 hours later, followed up once again saying, please check our blog for the latest status update on this issue. Thank you again for your patience, to which a link to their website and a blog post over there that mentions that a backend fix has already been deployed across all platforms. So you won't need a download. It should be fixed out as is right now. That taking aim at both the data corruption problem and also an issue with loadout slots. Now, the thing is they clarified a little bit about this error prompt that came up with this, and it said, if you are presented with the error prompt and did not click yes and close the game, your stats are still intact. Feel free to play as usual. So I've heard that some people's stuff was still messed with in their combat records. I'm not entirely sure how widespread that is or if that's even a subject of the close application error and then restarting it. I don't know if that's a byproduct of it that was inadvertent, but it is something that you should have been able to play as is. But if you did click yes for whatever reason, you most likely will notice that your stats in the combat record, leaderboards, custom classes, and operators were reset. Nothing relating to your progress like your XP, your rank, your battle pass progression, your weapon progression, unlocks, purchases, that's all still intact, but they didn't have a fix as the time of putting this blog update out at that point. And as it stands right now, as of recording this, again, it could change later in the evening, depending on when you're watching this, they don't have one yet. Now, the thing is they did say that you can continue playing as normal if you ended up choosing yes and your stats did get reset, but here's the downside, is they're probably going to roll back the server. They're probably going to roll back that progression. And so therefore, anything that you did after clicking yes to whenever that revert happens will be completely lost. Any progress that you made on weapons, camos, anything like that, it'll be reverted back to that point of the issue. Now, looking at this now from a point of where the issue first came up as of the update, that sort of arc where everybody starts to experience it, it starts to get addressed on the back end, and then now it's kind of has some resolution, but really isn't quite to that point of resolution just yet, but we know the path to it. The only thing I can think of is just, what the how in the world does this happen? Like, we've seen some issues before where we had some discrepancies with the actual game save on your hard drive with the cloud-based data. That just stuff doesn't match up sometimes. That was actually what I thought this was initially when I first saw the very first tweet referring to this on my timeline. I thought this was something that maybe one of the data sets just don't match up. I've seen that happen before to me. It's happened to me before, and it doesn't really do anything because you do have your cloud data saved on the Activision servers. It syncs back up. But that's not what it was. It was something so much worse, where the actual update itself literally broke the game for many players. I don't understand how that happens, and I'm glad there is some resolution right now, but I just don't get how something like that can make it to a live environment, especially when you consider the fact that it's been over a month since our last title update, where there was a huge string of already known problems that were being investigated, being worked on. I just don't know how, and I'm completely ignorant to the entire inner workings of development, by the way. I know some things here and there that can work out, but I truly don't understand the day-to-day operations. Maybe I'm completely overlooking something that is just, in a developmental perspective, clear and apparent, and it's just because of my ignorance to the entire situation, unable to see an easy answer. But I just don't understand how an entire month into an update creates some literal game-breaking bugs that you've had ample amount of time to test out. You've had ample amount of time to see in-house, hey, does this actually really break a game? And maybe, yes, it's one of those situations where every single dev kit got lucky, where they didn't experience this issue. I'll always be that one to say that when you go from in-house, which is only a couple of hundred, maybe a couple of thousand hands-on at any given time across all of the studios, all working on testing one update perhaps, it's definitely going to be a huge shock whenever that patch is pushed out to millions of players, and you'll definitely find way more data pushing it out to that major number in the public comparative to in-house. But when it's something like this, it's just, I don't understand. The game literally broke for people. One thing that I truly wish that there would be in the Call of Duty space, there's plenty of them out there in other games, maybe not necessarily for major AAA titles like this. It's not something that, depending on what games you may play regularly, it's not something you're used to. I would absolutely kill for a PTS or a public test server, something where you can test out the upcoming update, not necessarily pushed out to all consoles. Maybe it's invite only, maybe it's something where it's a small subset of the community, or it's something you have to actually go out of your way to end up logging into, which is basically how all the PTS servers that I've ever encountered have been. But it previews the next update. It shows what they're working on, and it also allows you to test it out in real time, have that much larger player count testing everything all at once, whereas it may be a lot harder inside QA and in-house to test every single possibility of an outcome in a game. It'd be so much easier to report and then get these bugs out before being pushed out to the masses. I don't understand why that's not something that, given how many bugs we've seen in Modern Warfare, how many bugs we've seen in Black Ops 4, how many bugs we saw in the past couple of years of Call of Duty, how that hasn't been something that has made its way out there just yet. I mean, this update introduced a ton of problems, not just that data corruption. The crossbow progression didn't track properly. Player collision still isn't fixed. Even though it was mentioned that it was, there was also something that 45 round mag, this one just pops into my head because of talking about things that said they were fixed, but they actually weren't. The 45 round extended mag for the Ram 7 actually was still 45 rounds. There are a bunch of green icons that now won't go away related to custom classes, then also quick play. There's weapon models that are completely busted. Campaign view models are all busted as well after this update in a lot of cases. I'm in this really weird headspace where I am definitely somebody that I will fully admit that I don't know what goes on. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt because of that, but we're 3 months in and we still see game-breaking bugs introduced with every single update. Again, I have absolutely no idea what goes into development. I have no idea what goes into coding, but I just feel like with a PTS, you would definitely be able to see the results of testing things way further than just a QA team and a QA department, and basically voluntary labor. People are gonna hop on the PTS if it's the newest update. Sure, it tells people what's gonna happen before it actually happens, so people will be like, well, why don't you change the minimap back? Why don't you get rid of skill-based matchmaking and the stuff that likely just from the design intent isn't ever going to change. As much as that sucks to hear, it's probably not going to happen. You're going to have people that will be already complaining about why something isn't being looked at, why it isn't being fixed. But at the same time, for those that want to play the newest stuff, it's an early access period, and it allows them to test things that may not necessarily be seen otherwise. So I don't know the logistics of it. I don't know how possible it is, but I just feel like that would make such a difference within the quality of life of each update. But I don't know. I'm rambling here at this point, but I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. I want to let you guys know about this because it is an issue that is now finally being resolved, it seems, but still, I don't think it should have ever gotten there in the first place. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected from outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But let's get out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.